12314. That's January 23rd, 2014, Thursday, January 23rd, 2014. Welcome aboard, everybody. I'm your host for the next 2 hours, Dr. Peter Glidden. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. I'm a graduate of Bastyr University of Naturopathic Medicine in Seattle, Washington. I've been licensed to practice naturopathic medicine since 1992, and I have 25 years of clinical experience in the delivery of naturopathic therapeutics. I've been around the block when it comes to holistic medicine in the United States, and the purpose of this show is to inform the general public about the stuff about medicine that is so far outside of your reference range that you didn't know that. My intention every single solitary day on this radio program is to give at least one of my listeners an aha experience, a eureka experience, access into information which is true and correct and so far outside of your reference range that you didn't know that. That's what we bring to the table here, is experience, pragmatic, results-oriented, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition and holistic therapeutics, the intention of which are to support and promote your body's ability to regulate, fix, maintain, and fix itself. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Well, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's Metaphysical Thursday, where we talk about metaphysics in a sophisticated way, not in a juvenile way. Most people, when they think about metaphysics, they think about psychics and Ouija boards and all kinds of crystals swinging, all kinds of stuff. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Metaphysics is defined by contemporary science as phenomena which are outside of the ability of science to measure. Phenomena which are outside the ability of science to measure. For instance, love. If you've ever said that you love your mother, you are a practicing metaphysician. How is that so? Because, well, you say that you love your mother, right? Well, prove it. Can you prove to me that you love your mother? No, you can't. You know that you do. But there's nothing that you can do to prove it objectively. There's no double-blind study you can generate that proves that love is even a real thing. And your MD psychiatrist is only too happy to put forth the notion that love is just a biochemical process. It's a fiction generated by biochemistry. If you believe in God, if you've ever prayed, you are a practicing metaphysician. Metaphysics cuts close to the bone. It is a part and parcel of the world that we live in, and quite frankly, it's been given a bad rap. People don't understand it. People haven't really thought that much about it, but I'm here to tell you it is an integral part of your makeup. Why is that? Well, let's think about it. A medical doctor, an MD, will tell you that your body is a random amalgamation, a coincidental conjoining of biochemicals that happen in an antediluvian swamp in the Jurassic Park eons ago, and that then evolved, started as a single-celled microscopic organism and then evolved over millions of years into a human being. That it's all just a random conflagration, there's a new word, of biochemicals. They'll tell you that the soul does not exist, that the spirit does not exist, because no doctor, no scientist, no PhD research candidate has ever objectively measured or identified the soul. So if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And they will completely overlook the notion. A medical doctor also is trained to believe that your body does not have the ability to fix itself. Your body does not have any intelligence whatsoever. It's all just a random evolution of biochemicals, and it's only a matter of time until something goes wrong. And then it's your doctor's job to march in and fix things. Well, not really fix things, but manage things with biochemicals, man-made synthetic drugs, the intention of which is not to cure anything, but to simply manage your state of affairs. So, right? I mean, think about it. Is high blood pressure ever cured? No, it's managed. How about heartburn? Is heartburn ever cured? No, it's managed. Arthritis, type 2 diabetes, anything ever cured? No, it's always managed. Because the MD is trained to believe that there is no intelligence to the body, there is no spiritual soul force inside the body, it's all just biochemicals. But even though they take that position, they overlook the 500-pound gorilla in the middle of the research room, which is the notion of how does the body know what to do. Your medical doctor will tell you that, well, when the body needs to elevate its blood pressure, the kidneys secrete renin, and renin makes another biochemical called angiotensinogen convert into angiotensin, and when angiotensin type 65 is in the blood, then your blood vessels constrict and your blood pressure rises. And they're right, because that is the biochemical steps, more or less, through which the body, one of the ways through which the body uses to raise its blood pressure. Your medical doctor will also tell you that when you swallow food, your gallbladder is stimulated to secrete bile, and the bile mixes with the stuff in your stomach and makes it digest better, and then it moves along the digestive tract, and this, that, and the other thing. And they'll also tell you, if your thyroid is funky, just let us inject this synthetic thyroid hormone into your bloodstream. When your blood sugar is funky, let us inject this man-made insulin into the bloodstream. Now think about that. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to Radio Shack or Hobby Lobby, and I want you to get 100 yards of little plastic tubing, like they make in, like they put through water filters, those water filter devices. I want to get about 100 yards of the plastic tubing. I want you to cut it all up. I want you to glue it all together in this big elaborate circle, and then I want you to hook it up to a pump. And then I want there to be an inlet port somewhere in that, and then I want you just to squirt some insulin in there. Squirt some orange juice in there. Squirt some vegetable oil in there. Squirt some whatever you want to in there. And then plug the pump into the wall, and the pump circulates the stuff all around, but that's all that it does. How does the body know what to do with the insulin that's in the bloodstream? How does the body know what to do with the hormones that are in the bloodstream? How does the body know what to do, what it does all the time? The MDs completely overlook the simple notion that it is not the biochemicals in the body that run the body. There's something else running the show. There's something else telling the cells of the body what to secrete and when, and what to absorb and when. There's something generating life. It's called life. And the life force inside your body, by definition, is a metaphysical phenomenon. Life is a metaphysical phenomenon, the power of life. And by the way, the medical doctor can't tell you what it is that powers the pump. They'll tell you that the heart's pumping everything, but they have no idea what makes the heart run. What is it that makes the heart run? What is it that starts the heart beating? They have no idea. They're clueless. They've overlooked the obvious. And it is so much in front of their face that they've completely overlooked it. When you cut your hand, do you have to tell your immune system consciously to secrete fibrinogen and activate complement and increase macrophage response time? No. Most of you don't even know what those things are. But that's what happens when your body heals itself from a cut. But it all happens unconsciously, outside of your control, outside of the MD's control. Who's in charge of that? What's in charge of that? What makes that happen? What brings light to the eyes of the living? Ever seen somebody die? Ever been in the presence of somebody who's dying? Ever seen the light leave their eyes? What causes the light? Where does that come from? By the way, where does the light in your dreams come from? Oh, Dr. Huffenpuff says, it's phosphorescent biochemicals in the optical cortex of the brain, and that's what it is, and we inherited those from phosphorescent jellyfish in the antediluvian period of the Jurassic swamp, blah, 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 blah. You've got to be kidding me. We've let the bozos drive the bus. Your medical doctor will sew the wound up, but they have no earthly idea how the body fixes it. And the body fixes it all the time. Your medical doctor will pump you full of man-made hormones in order to make your ovaries secrete more eggs every month. But they cannot tell you How a single-celled organism once fertilized, and how does that even happen anyway? How does a little sperm know where to go? What is it that gives life to the sperm? What is it? Is it electricity and biochemicals? Or where the heck did that come from? What is it? What's the power source? Oh, and by the way, once the egg is fertilized, it develops all by itself. And who's in charge of that? What's in charge of that? Your medical doctor will believe it's just random biochemicals. And what's nonsense? It's nonsense. And yet these are the people who we give our lives to when our health is on the line. These are the people that we have allowed to enter into the monopoly of the medical marketplace. These are the people that we have allowed our health care to, and because they don't practice health care, we get sick and tired, and then we die. But first, we get bankrupted. And then, we lose our house. Our children are on the street. Children become drug addicts. You got to be kidding me. All because we've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. We've taken an MD. We've hired an MD who does not have any understanding whatsoever about life, has no clinical understanding of the relationship between life force and the human body. We have given these people our confidence. We have given these people our trust. We have given these people our bodies, and they have repaid us with death and destruction, old-fashioned, outdated, dangerous, expensive, and ineffective treatments. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason that your medical doctor delivers substandard, dangerous, ineffective treatments is because they do not understand the basic foundation concept of life. There is life. Where there's life, there's hope. Where there's a holistic physician, there's more than that. There's results. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Want results? Call me. 866-582-9933. Going to Connecticut when we get back. Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call to speak to me live. Coming up in the second hour, at the very top of the second hour, I'm going to tell you the story of a Hindu monk who lived for 185 years. Documented. He lived to be 185 years old. I'm going to tell you how he did it. I'm going to tell you how he died. And then your head's going to explode. That's coming up at the top of the second hour, so stay tuned. Right now, let's go to Connecticut and see what's up with Donna. Hey, Donna, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Thank you, Doctor. Me and my husband, we have a friend whose father is in the hospital with cancer. He's just had brain surgery to take a growth off of his brain, but the cancer seems to be all over his body. They say he's in stage 4. And he wants to know whether or not there's anything they can do with our product from longevity to counteract this.
Well, it's illegal to treat cancer. We can't treat cancer. Well, I mean, we don't treat disease, right? We don't treat arthritis. We don't treat high blood pressure, right? And it's illegal to even intimate that we're going to help somebody who has cancer, even if we could and we can't intimate that we do and we don't treat cancer. And here's what I want to tell you. When you take a step back from all of this and really just take a look to see what's happening, the same way that you would take a look to see what's happening if you were going to buy a TV or if you were going to buy a house or if you were going to buy anything that was a big ticket item, you would have a little different perspective on it than you would if you were going to buy a quart of orange juice or a gallon of milk. You don't think about that stuff. But when you buy a house or a car or a big ticket item, you really think long and hard about it. And you shop around. And, if you bought a car and the engine dropped out of the car, you bought a brand new car and the engine dropped out of the car the day after you bought it, you'd make a stink and you'd bring it back and you'd get a refund and a new car and your money back. You'd make a stink. But with cancer treatment, what happens is people get cancer. Why do people get cancer? One of the reasons people get cancer is because they've been eating the wrong food all the time, all of their life. And why were they eating that food? Because they believed the people who made the food. They took advice from Monsanto and General Mills, and the people who make the food tell them what to eat, and that's a mistake. Number two, their bodies are chronically undernutrified because it's impossible to get all the nutrients you need to have a healthy body just from your food. It's impossible. But the medical professional has told them their entire life not to take nutritional supplements because they just give you expensive urine, which is a lie. It's a patent lie. So people's bodies are completely undernutrified, and they're eating all the wrong food all the time. And then they go outside and they're exposed to the stress of life. There's crap in the air, crap in the food, crap in the water, toxins, emotional stress, physical stress, you name it, and then they get cancer. And then, once they have cancer, they go to the MD. Now, the MD oncologist does not tell them that this cancer treatment is only going to be 10% effective, and when I say effective, I mean 10% of the people who take this treatment live 5 years longer than they would have if they hadn't had the treatment. The MD will also not tell them that the treatment itself can cause cancer. The MD will also not tell them that the treatment is going to ruin the quality of their lives, that it's going to change their personality, they're going to have to go to the bathroom 10 times a night, they're going to have to wear diapers, they're going to have to get transfusions once a month. Everything's going to change, but you're going to be alive. The MD will not tell them this, nor will they tell them statistically anything. Oh, this treatment is 5% effective or 75% effective or this, that, and the other thing. They won't tell them. But they'll convince the person to get the treatment because, they're the doctor and you have to do what the doctor says. And so then they do the treatment and it doesn't work. So they operate on the brain, which is probably a $15,000 ticket item, and it doesn't work. And what does the patient do? Does the patient make a fuss? Does the patient ask for their money back? Does the patient develop an inquiry into the policies and procedures of the hospital? No. The patient bends over and takes it again in a form of another treatment. Oh, chemotherapy this time. The surgery didn't work. Let's do chemotherapy. Oh, the chemotherapy didn't work. Let's do radiation. And so forth and so on. It's the blind leading the blind through the valley of fear. And it's a freaking-gantic problem. Compounded in triplicate by the simple notion that they won't let anybody else treat cancer. And even though they suck at what they do, and even though they consistently deliver inferior treatments, they don't let anybody else onto the playing field. It's nuts. Now, if it were me, well, I'll tell you what I would do when we come back. Stick around, Donna, and I'll give you some advice on how to support and promote the structure and function of your immune system. Stick around. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 1, 4. I love numbers. January 23rd, 2014. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. We're talking to Donna from Connecticut. Donna, are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
All right, very good. So if it were me and I wanted to support and optimize the structure and function of my body, here's what I would do. I would do 2 anti-aging healthy start packs a month, 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals, 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals, 4 bottles of ultimate selenium, and 10 bottles of Z-Radical. That's what I would do.
10 bottles of Z-Radical?
Yep, that's what I would do. And I would get my book, and I would ask the oncologist with a witness and a recording device the 10 questions that are in my chapter on cancer in my book. Just that there's 10 straightforward questions that every cancer patient needs to ask their cancer doctor. And when they hear the answers, they'll know whether to proceed with the MD treatment. 10 very simple, straightforward questions, but nobody asks them. And I've had patients kicked out, literally. The doctor has told them to leave because they refuse to answer the question and they're insulted by the question. You know what the question is? Does this treatment cure my cancer? And there's 9 more that are just like it. And you can download my book onto your computer or your Kindle or whatever for $10. If you want a hard copy, it's $19, and it's right there on my website. If every cancer patient in the world just simply and politely and concisely, with a witness, ask their oncologist these 10 questions, the cancer industry would collapse in 12 months because it does not work. And the oncologists are in the business of selling false hope. By the way, did you know that the patient is not the client of the hospital? The doctor is the client of the hospital. The patient is the currency that the doctor trades to the hospital. The patient is the currency that the doctor trades to the hospital. It's the doctor that's the client of the hospital, not your patient. And it's all about the money. And it's a problem. And I hope you just had a eureka moment. I have to move on, Donna.
Yes, I did.
All right, you go, girl. Keep up the good work. That's why we're here. From Connecticut to California, we got the C states this afternoon. Let's go to Shirley and see what's shaking. Hey, Shirley, thanks for listening. You are live.
Thanks. I was on yesterday and my phone died, so it's got batteries now. So I was asking about depression and if the Smart FX would help that. I've been on some of the products mostly for the bone on bone with the hips, and I can barely walk now. It's getting worse every week. And I'm still working
I think what I told you yesterday was that you've been kind of in and out of the therapy, and you haven't really done all 10 bad foods, right? You've been a little...
No, I haven't been totally on that. I'm having trouble with the wheat stuff that they've added.
Yeah, so, see, that's a problem because wheat interferes with the absorption of the nutrients, so you need to dial that in. Now, Smart FX is not a bad thing to enter into the bargain here. Generally speaking, we're advocates of Smart FX when we're attempting to reduce inflammation in the body and when we're attempting to support prostaglandin generation with people who have migraine headaches. But it's not. It's a perfectly excellent thing to add on. I've got no problem with it. But the magic with medical nutrition is the dosage. You know, I mean, if you had a sinus infection and the medical doctor told you needed 60 milligrams of an antibiotic twice a day, well, if you took 30 milligrams of that antibiotic once a day instead of 60 twice a day, it probably wouldn't work. Now, does that mean antibiotics don't work? No. It just means you didn't take enough. So medical nutrition is a dose-dependent phenomenon. You have to be taking the right amount of the stuff every day, number one. And number two, you have to stop eating food that's interfering with your body's ability to absorb it. So, you might be taking the appropriate dose, but because you're washing it down with, a beer or with a sandwich or pancakes or pasta, whatever, your body's maybe only absorbing 20, 30, 40% of what you just swallowed. So once you clean it all up, maximize your diet and be Johnny on the spot with your supplements every day, most people experience a noticeable and measurable improvement within 4 weeks. So I would encourage you to do that, and there's no harm and no foul with the Smart FX. It's actually a smart addition to your program.
But it's not really going to be helpful for the
depression?
The depression necessarily.
Well, it's hard to know because it's hard to know. Smart FX is an essential fatty acid. It's a concentrated omega-3 and DHA. And omega-3s and DHA have been shown to be effective in helping the body to metabolize blood sugar. And blood sugar abnormalities are often associated with depression.
Okay.
So by hook and by crook, we're going to get around the bend here in some fashion. Are you taking the sweeties, Shirley?
You had me get that, and I was taking it, I don't know, it's been 4 or 5 months ago, and just stuff wasn't getting metabolized. So I took selenium and sweeties and, the basic bone pack, and just wasn't getting any results, but I still was eating the bad stuff. So
yeah, for 4 weeks, for 4 weeks in a row,
4 weeks.
Just eliminate the bad stuff, like your freaking life depended on it. Take the supplements and see what happens. I mean, until we do that, we can't judge the effectiveness of this up or down. We just can't.
Okay. So when they're totally out, all those 10 bad things, then the stuff should get absorbed much better.
Yeah, and it should be absorbed much better every day. It's incremental. I mean, it's like, Yeah, I mean, it's like watching, the sunrise, right? It's a little bit brighter every couple of minutes. So I would encourage you to do that, Shirley, and keep your fingers crossed.
Okie dokie. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome a lot. Thank you for your trust. From California to Las Vegas, we're going to talk about Lyme's disease, one of my favorite diagnoses. Hey, Jim, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned that I was having inflammation. It was real random. It would come and go, different parts of the body. And somebody asked me how it started, and I said it started in the back of my head, almost like on the top of my head, and then I could feel it spreading down through my neck and then into my shoulders. And they said, well, that sounds like Lyme disease. So I looked it up a little bit, and it does kind of sound like maybe I had been bitten by a tick or something like that. And I've been gluten-free now for almost 3 months. I've been on the longevity packs for about 10 weeks, I guess. When I had spoken to you, you had mentioned that I should be doing 2 scoops of the tangerine 2 times a day. I've been doing that. 2 ounces of the liquid calcium with OJ before bed. I've been doing that. Essential fatty acid 6 times a day. I've been doing that. The selenium 12 a day. And so I've been writing down how I've been feeling. You said once a week, write down, give yourself a score of 1 to 10. And I haven't really been feeling any better since this started. And I'm just wondering, is it possible that I have something else that I don't know. Is there a way to cure Lyme disease this way?
Well, number one, I consider myself an expert on Lyme disease. I've treated a lot of it. I had a practice in Cape Cod, Massachusetts for a decade, and where there's a high preponderance of Lyme disease. I'm from Nantucket Island, where there's an extremely high preponderance of Lyme disease. I have a lot of experience with Lyme disease. And I'm here to tell you that Lyme disease is an almost impossible thing to definitively diagnose. It's a really difficult thing to definitively diagnose because the government made it illegal to do they took off of the market the only test that is definitive for Lyme disease. They took it off the market 2 years after Lyme disease was discovered. And I believe, and a lot of people believe, that they did that because Lyme disease was a government-created disease gone wrong on Plum Island, which was a government-run biotech facility in Long Island Sound, 9 miles away from Lyme, Connecticut. They had a tick-borne disease experimentation center on Plum Island, and we believe that, they were doing something nasty there, and the bug got out, and now we have Lyme disease, and they didn't want millions and billions of dollars of lawsuits, so they canceled. They made it illegal for the one test, the test positive for Lyme disease, to be used. So even if you were bit with the Lyme tick, it's impossible to tell whether you have Lyme disease, because I've had patients, and this is, talk about where diagnostic money, or research money needs to go. It needs to go into figuring this diagnostic stuff out, because you can have been bit by a tick, and you get all the signs and symptoms of Lyme disease. You get the bullseye rash, you get the fever, you've got the tick in a little vial, and we test the tick, and the tick is positive for the Lyme spirochete, and then we test you for the blood work that's allowed now, and it comes back negative. And you could have been bit by a tick 20 years ago, and now you're symptom-free. You go to the doctor for something else, they test you for Lyme disease, and you test positive for Lyme disease. In the world of diagnostic discovery, this is called, every diagnostic test, I don't care what it is, has something called sensitivity and specificity. It's how accurate is the test. Well, the Lyme disease test is it's really, really inaccurate. It has a very low level of sensitivity and specificity. So nobody can tell you, me, or anybody else whether definitively we have Lyme disease. You just can't do it. And the people that do dark field microscopy can't tell you either, even though they think they can, but they can't. So, it's a tricky situation, man. But this is curious to me, Jim. It's curious to me that you should have taken this stuff for over 2 months now, and not felt any better anywhere in your body. I mean, nothing's improved, mood, energy, appetite, sleep. You have zero improvement anywhere?
No, I'm not feeling, I mean, in the mornings I wake up, my back and my muscles all hurt, my hands are stiff, and, if I'm out moving and I'm working, I feel better. But as soon as I sit down and I rest, it all starts to come back. And no,
all right, and let's talk about that, because that's an indication for a homeopathic remedy, and I'll talk about that. But notwithstanding the musculoskeletal stuff, right, the stuff that's really bothering you, in the last 2 months, has anything gotten better that's been remarkable or noticeable? I mean, anything? Energy, appetite, weight, mood, sleep, dreams, sex drive? I mean, anything? Has anything brightened up or not?
No, I mean, I haven't had any issues with any of that. I mean, I've always been able to sleep okay, and I have plenty of energy. My appetite's been good, but that was all good from the beginning. The things that I've been monitoring have been, the muscle soreness, the joint stiffness, and lately it's been headaches and pain in my neck, just below my skull.
All right, very interesting. All right, so I'm going to ask you one quick question, then we're going to break, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish this up with you. Have you noticed or not that incoming rainy or stormy weather affects you negatively? Can you tell it's going to rain before it's going to rain because your muscles and joints act up?
It rains so infrequently here in Las Vegas, I couldn't tell you.
Well, that's an honest answer. All right, Jim, let's dial this in when we come back. I'm really glad that you called. Stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and I am your steadfast advocate for health. Back after these words. And we're back, finishing out the first hour with Jim from Las Vegas, who seems to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Welcome back, Jim. Are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
All right, great. So most of the time, remember, what we provide here is boilerplate foundation medical nutrition for the masses, and most of the time it's effective and it works. Every once in a while, someone comes along, they're in relatively good shape and they don't have any real niddly-piddly stuff going on, but they've got some major big-time stuff, and they get on board with our program, they take it, and they don't feel anything remarkable inside of 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And that's your case. And it's interesting to me that you would call on Metaphysical Thursday, because what I'm going to advise now is in the realm of energy medicine, and let me explain this a little bit, okay? Sometimes, in addition to putting the air in the tires, make sure the spark plugs are good and that the timing is correct and that the wires are all good and that there's enough coolant and there's enough windshield wiper fluid and there's enough power steering fluid and there's enough transmission fluid and oil and gasoline in the car. Sometimes you need a jump start. Now, what we do with Foundation Boilerplate Medical Nutrition is give the car a tune-up, but sometimes it needs a jump start in addition to that. Now, in a nutrified, mineralized body, someone who needs a jump start, the best thing to do is either homeopathy or acupuncture. Now, since I can't do acupuncture over the Internet, and since I'm not a licensed acupuncturist anyway, and since I do have a great deal of experience with homeopathy, I'm going to recommend that for 2 weeks, in addition to what you're already doing, you just need to maintain the discipline, man. And it's also entirely possible that you just haven't done this long enough. You need to wait 2, 3, 4 more weeks, and then it's slowly going to start to kick in. That often is the case. But there is something that you can do to speed things up, and it's in the realm of a type of medicine called homeopathy. Now, homeopathy is a couple of 100 years old. It's not by any way, shape, or form to be considered a new age therapeutic. It started in Germany in the 1800s. Homeopathic medical societies around the world have been filled with remarkably intellectually astute people. Homeopathic medicine is a separate and distinct type of medicine. It has its own diagnostic procedures, its own treatment protocols, its own method of preparation of medicines. It is an entity, a medical entity entirely unique to itself. In homeopathy, the medicines that a homeopath uses are considered energy medicine because they are diluted so much that there isn't even one atom of the original substance, one molecule of the original substance in the medicine that we deliver to people. Now, homeopathic medicines work, but we don't know the mechanism through which they work, but they're extremely safe, they're gentle, and when they are prescribed correctly, they jumpstart the body's ability to fix itself like nothing else. And it's my experience, before I did medical nutrition, by the way, for 15 years in my private practice, that's all I did was homeopathy. I am a classical homeopath through and through. I know a lot about it. I've met most of the homeopathic luminaries in the world today. I've studied with a number of them. I know a lot about homeopathy. And homeopathic treatment would be a very interesting thing for you to do. And homeopathy and acupuncture work much more efficiently in a body that's been mineralized. And when somebody's been taking mineral supplements, homeopathy works much more effectively. So, I want you to pick up a homeopathic medicine called Rus toxicodendron, and you spell that R, H like Harry, U, S like Sam. R-H-U-S. Second word, T like Thomas, O, X, I, C-O, D like David, E, N like Nancy, D-R-O-N like Nancy. Toxicodendron. Rus toxicodendron in the 200C or the 200CK strength. 200C or 200CK. Get one multi-dose tube of Rus toxicodendron, 200C or 200CK. Take 2 pellets. You're going to get a little tube about the size of your index finger with about 100 little medicated pellets in it. Take 2 pellets twice a day for 14 days. 2 pellets orally. Just pop them in your mouth and suck on them. 2 pellets twice a day for 14 days, and call me back with a report in or around day 14. 800-276-4223 is the number of a company called Homeopathy Overnight, or just find it somewhere on the web. Homeopathic Rus toxicodendron. Add that to what you're doing now. Call me back in 2 weeks and keep your fingers crossed.